This is a gray day for South Carolina, but it's a great day for our school and college. That's the only thing we'll say that sounds remotely political today. If you walk around the back of the building, you'll see why we're here and not back on Preston Green, because the construction laydown area is in the back, and work has been going on in this building now for more than 2 weeks. We're in week 3 of this process. I would applaud that too. Look, let me be brief as I can here, but I want to lay out a little bit of a sense of what's taking place. Work began on the renovation, as I say, about 2 weeks ago. The design process has been ongoing for at least the past 2 years. Sometimes it seems longer than that. But I want to thank the Boudreau Group, and I know a number of them are here. I'm not sure if John Boudreau is here, but Heather Mitchell is here, Randy Huth, Karen Quinn, Erica Timmons, Dana Herron, and I may have missed many others who have been involved in this process and have inspired the design for what you will see when this building comes to pass. The Palmettos Construction Group are our contractors. I believe Skylar Ashley is here, possibly John Kendall. I'm not sure if there they are. Okay, is Skylar here too? No, he's busy. Good, even better. Derek Brunner, the university architect, has provided us counsel and guidance throughout the process, and Ann Derrick. It's hard to say enough about Ann Derrick, who's been the university's project manager since we began, and guides us through the maze of the process, the regulations, the bureaucracy, and we've met in extensive discussions over the years with Ann and countless others in the planning and design. And of course, we continue to get critical input from faculty and staff as we move from stage to stage, with much detail yet to be determined. But we're counting down towards our move into that building next summer. Alumni and donors, let me thank you as well, particularly alumni donors, for what your gifts and pledges have added to the possibilities for this building. We like to think now that seeing this reality materialize, that you will be joined by many more equally generous supporters of this project. That's the only soft sell for today. But there is work still to be done. Elizabeth Quackenbush is our Senior Director of Development. She's back there. Katie Bullard has just joined our staff as Assistant Director of Development, and you can always come to me, checks in hand, if you like. I'd like to thank Dean Tom Chandler and the Arnold School of Public Health for vacating the premises. And I can't tell you how many times I nudged Tom. And at times Tom said, keep nudging, because I think he wanted out. And finally, President Pastides, who once occupied the building as Dean of Public Health and has been continually supported. President Pastides unavoidably is not able to join us this morning. He sent me an email last night, and I'll read it for you. I'm sorry indeed that I have to depart too early for the Duke Foundation meetings to attend the groundbreaking. I would have loved to take a sledge to that building. I take that as a very serious, not metaphorical comment. Seriously, congratulations on realizing a project that has been a very long time in the making. We chatted about this the other day, and he talked about when he was in this building how impatient he was to get out, and thanked us for being patient about getting in. The other thing we won't talk a whole lot about, but you see that greenhouse over there? I think Harris would have talked a little bit about that. As Carol Pardon, the director of the journalism school, and I would walk around the health sciences building trying to figure out what to do with it, we'd cast an eye over towards that greenhouse. And Carol would say, wouldn't it be nice if we could have that greenhouse and do something really different, something unique in that area? So we went to President Pastides and said about that greenhouse. And his response was, my wife grows plants in that greenhouse. But we talked a little bit more about it and came to the position where he said, you know, if you can retain the idea that there's a greenhouse there, and if you can keep it environmentally green, because that's an important part of what the university is about, and he didn't quite put it this way, but he implied that if you raise the green, that he would support are taking over the greenhouse as well, and we were able to do that. And you'll hear more about that as we proceed, because the greenhouse will become what we're calling the Greenhouse Studio. It'll be an external studio as part of the School of Journalism and Mass Communications. That project's about, 6 months in sequence from the start of the building work here, but they'll both complete at the same time. So my continual thanks to President Pastides for having been totally supportive of this throughout the entire time, as has Dr. Amaritas. Let me now introduce the benefactor, or a young man who represents the benefactors of what is taking place over there. Brett Williams is a freshman, and he aspires to a career in broadcasting. And when Brett and his family came down here, we talked sometime last year about what the program was like, and kind of laid out the promise to you, Brett, that you might spend at least 2 years of your career here, provided you get out of here in 4 years, and I have no doubt that you're going to do that. So I wanted to ask Brett to give a little sense of how this is relevant to students. And then Dr. Carol Pardun, the director of the School of Journalism and Mass Communications, will speak as well.
Check 1, 2, check test. Check test. Got it. There we go. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Leave it to Cocky. So, I am indeed truly honored to be here, to be a part of this landmark occasion in the history of the School of Journalism and Mass Communications. And before I begin, I'd like to thank everyone involved in granting me this privilege, particularly Dr. Carol Pardun and Dr. Andrea Tanner, my fall semester professor who nominated me to speak today. As Dean Bierbauer said, I am an aspiring broadcaster, and particularly an aspiring sports broadcaster. And hopefully I'll have mics like this one that work full-time. In any case, it's a dream I've harbored for about 10 years now, ever since I first found out that one could make a living talking about sports. Figured that was a pretty good deal. Given I long maintained a distinct vision for my future, I always had, to some extent, a distinct vision of my college experience. Sure, one day I would walk the hallowed grounds of a campus steeped in tradition, no doubt attending interesting classes and making lifelong friends. But I would spend the most significant amount of time moving from game to game, sport to sport, reporting on camera, and providing as much commentary as my voice could muster. I approached my college application and decision process with this image in mind, searching the country for the university whose resources would allow me to achieve it. For a while, I believed another university and its available concentration in sports journalism best matched my expectations. I'm glad I believed otherwise. Then, during the summer of my senior year, before my senior year of high school, I first visited Columbia, and I met our very own Dean Charles Bierbauer. I would say I decided to attend the University of South Carolina the instant I first shook his hand, but I feel like that would be trying a bit too hard to get on the dean's good side. So I'll go ahead and go elsewhere. But my father and I spoke with him for over an hour that day, and all joking aside, I learned several important lessons that helped me think differently about my future in journalism and that ultimately helped draw me to the Garnet and Black. Dean Bierbauer conveyed a clear and consistent message. Budding journalists, no matter their medium or subject of interest, must cultivate a well-rounded skill set. The field simply transcends sportscasting. I can certainly seek as many extracurricular opportunities around campus, but I also have to learn to write, to film, to edit, and most importantly, to learn about journalism as a concept, as a discipline imbued with the power to enact change. Now, secondly, and most importantly, Dean Bierbauer demonstrated an essential quality. Wow. And we're getting explosive. Okay. That's a groundbreaking. It's a symbol of the groundbreaking. So, he demonstrated an essential quality of the greater South Carolina community, a welcoming, caring nature. I was just walking through the trademark corridors of the Coliseum, searching for someone who might provide some information about SJMC. And suddenly the very dean spends hours with me, discussing the aforementioned deeper implications of journalism and giving me a tour of the senior semester news facility. Forget that sports journalism track. At what other university would I find individuals so invested in the interest of students and so willing to guide them to their dreams? Fast forward a year and a half. I stand before you today a proud Gamecock. In only just over a semester, I've experienced a little of each aspect of college I need to become the person and professional I want to become. I served as play-by-play commentator for the online live stream broadcast of our women's volleyball matches this past semester. I've filmed and produced highlight packages and stand-up reports for Capital City Sports, the sports show of Student Gamecock Television, or SGTV. I've written for the Daily Gamecock, and I've taken time in the classroom to appreciate the development of journalism and the significance of a story carefully observed, carefully recorded, and carefully told. Thanks to Dr. Tanner, I was even given the opportunity to meet and interview a professional in my chosen field, who, thanks to our extremely supportive media relations department, ended up being Bob Rathman, Atlanta Hawks basketball and SEC football commentator. He is a stalwart believer in the integral relationship between sportscasting and storytelling in the true spirit of a journalist. And that's a lesson I certainly look to take with me the rest of my life. As you can see, this university community consists of those committed to the success and well-being of everyone around them. I am incredibly blessed to have joined this Carolina family and adopted its spirit, which grows from the depths of Thomas Cooper Library to the upper deck of Williams-Brice Stadium, to the green outside Wardlaw College as we saw a few minutes ago, and to the world beyond that we Gamecocks strive to change every day. I look forward to my years here to come, and I look forward to soon stepping out of the J School's dungeons and into the beacon of light that will be the new building. And of course, that building will be right behind me on the horseshoe, the very heart of our university. We may reminisce about the past and certainly savor the present, but we must look ahead to the future. And I am confident that today, as we break ground on a new era, that future will have no limits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. That was fantastic. I think I should probably just say hello and goodbye, but here we are. I'm Carol Pardun. I'm the director of the School of Journalism and Mass Communications, and with Dean Bierbauer, welcome all of you to this great event. It's very exciting to have you here. Being involved in the planning of the construction of our building has been a dream come true for me personally. As some of you know, I have always wanted to be an architect. Though I never did go to architecture school, which made me sad. I did study architecture theory in graduate school as I looked at how families viewed television. As I read architecture theory, I learned about the field of the environment and behavior. And here's the bottom line. The physical structure of where you work impacts how you work. Nowhere is that going to be more important than in our new School of Journalism and Mass Communications. Both the academic field of journalism and the industry have experienced tectonic shifts over the past several years. While our faculty have embraced change and have worked hard to keep ahead of the curve, working in a suboptimal building has been challenging. It's hard to embrace the future when you are working in a space that holds you to the past. Journalism and mass communications education is about respecting the history of our field while reaching toward the future. It requires flexibility, vision, and openness to exploring new ideas. This building gives us that. Moving to the historic Horseshoe neighborhood reminds us of where we have come from and the enduring truths we hold sacred in our field. But transforming the building represents all that journalism education can offer both the academy and the industry. We will have windows, which is, pause. Let me repeat. We will have windows, which is not only physically important for those of us who crave sunshine, but symbolically important as we continue to explore ways to shed light on both the highlights and the heartbreaks around the world. I am profoundly grateful to President Pastides, Provost Emeritus, and the rest of the university leadership who believe that our School of Journalism and Mass Communications is worthy of this building. Thank you very much. We are ready.
Hi, Cocky. How are you today? Good. What you got there? Yeah, we're not going to do that, Cocky. Well, everybody does that, don't they? It's a shovel. You bring in a box of dirt. You got another idea? Okay. Give me. Yeah, that's what President Pastides said he wanted to do, and that was exactly our idea. We suggested that we put up a wall here, and to give everybody a swing at it, $50 a swing or something like that. But we're not going to do that either. And let me tell you why. Because the contractors who are smarter about this sort of stuff than we are said, does it really make sense in an institution that is dedicated to the environment to set up a wall and then knock it down? So the answer is no, we're not going to do that either, Kaki. I'll tell you what we are going to do. See the screen behind you? Okay. We purposely called this a breaking ground event, not a groundbreaking. So we're going to break ground in a more contemporary 21st century sense of the word. You know, you get that, right? A virtual reality, which I think these days is no longer an inherent contradiction, not in our business. So think of it in these terms. New ground for addressing the new digital media. New foundations for exploring the way we communicate. New structures for our faculty to build a new curriculum within, and new horizons for our students and our graduates. School journalism has a long history on this campus, and we won't go back to all the different places it's been or might have been, but we've been here since 1923. And it's time to move back into the center of campus, as Dr. Pardun said. So, over 18 months, the building behind us or across from you will be transformed. We're excited about what the prospects will be, and we hope you will be too. So we want to tell you that story, since storytelling is largely what we're about, in the next roughly 75 seconds. That's about $10 million in Super Bowl time. And show you what it is that we are breaking up inside that building and not releasing into the atmosphere, and what you can expect the transformation will be like. We wanted to have fireworks too, but that got nixed as well. You can follow our progress on the building's website. It has its own site. Many of you have been doing that. We hope you'll keep track of it as it moves forward, and that we'll all be back here in about 17 months from now. By the way, does anybody know the name of the music? It's the Washington Post March. How appropriate for a journalism school. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you very much.